As the mayor indicated, I'm the fire chief, my deputy fire chief's here, and we also have two of our fire commissioners here, Heather and there we go. Do you guys want to stand up and so we're real quickly I'll tell you a couple things about ourselves and then get into what I became the fire chief about 6 months ago. And so what sort of made this issue have more urgency with me. So just a little bit about us really quick, that we're an independent fire control district. So in a lot of places, cities have to have their own fire departments. And however, there's about 600 places in Florida where it made more sense for a fire department to cover multiple cities or rural geographic areas. And so in these areas, the state established the special fire control district. It's almost like Swift Mud is a special control district, so the state has several different types of special districts it can create to provide necessary services to a community. The really great thing, well, we were established in 1951. We cover 4 cities, Bel Air Shore, Bel Air Beach, Indian Shores, and Indian Rocks Beach, and also a piece of the mainland. I like to talk about, we're called a special independent district, and what makes us special. I think what makes us special is our 2 commissioners sitting here. Yes, thank you. We're a single function government entity, and I come to the city meetings and attend and give a fire report, and I'm grateful that we're a single function governmental entity because all we worry about is fire. We don't worry about stormwater drains, we don't worry about beach access or parks. It's our single purpose in life is to be your subject matter expert and your fire expert, and to make sure you're covered from a fire perspective. And it's as close to the citizens as I can get. My board, I report to my board. There's no layers there. So those citizens that represent each city, speak for you. And we have public meetings once a month, just like the cities, that you're welcome, and I encourage you to come too, because we'd love to hear your input at those meetings. So we're your fire department, and we're your advocates, subject matter experts, and that's what brought us to where we are today, me being your advocate, or feeling like I am. And I'm really happy to have the dialogue, because maybe I've got the wrong idea. But here's what I think. Oh, one more slide I have to throw in. The idea of special fire control districts, are they more cost effective or not? And this is just a slide showing the way we're funded is through a flat fee per household and a small ad valorem tax instead of fully ad valorem tax funded. So consequently, and I know a lot of controversy about ad valorem taxes going on right now. Properties value go up quickly and faster than inflation or drop. And so our budget would grow proportionately. But in our case, only a portion of our budget is predicated on that ad valorem. So what happens is, and also because we're a single source, we're not deciding where to spend funds, or maybe funds leaving the district, or we're cheap, we're less expensive. So in Bel Air Beach, the average homeowner pays $822 for fire protection into the district. If you were with the Seminole Fire Control District, dependent district, it'd be $1,200 a month, so it's more. I just like to throw that in, so while I have you. This will make a lot more sense later, but I think it's really important to tell you that when we're designing a system of coverage, when you have no coverage, obviously you don't have service in a needed amount of time. So in my mind, when I'm thinking about an area needs service, I put, we have to arrive on the scene within 7 minutes. Otherwise, the outcomes are not good. And so I put that benchmark in my mind, and then when I look at an area, if you have 0% chance of a fire truck or ambulance getting there in 7 minutes, you've got a 0. So if you have one fire station in your area, you have a 70% reliability factor. In other words, the fire truck goes out on other calls and does training and other things, so they can only be reliable 70% of the time. So if you meet the benchmark and you have one fire station, You get 70% of the time, you're going to get help in the required amount of time, whatever you decide that to be. And then when you overlap those coverage areas is when you get true concentration and distribution of resources that gives you reliability so that you can get service every time you need it, not just 70% of the time or 0% of the time. This gets important in a minute. And so why is time important? Well, for medical, it's important for a lot of reasons. Heart attack was the most obvious. If someone's heart stops right here and we're here, well, I'm going to show you a slide in a minute, but you have 100, and ALS is here, a paramedic. You have 100% chance of survival almost. So every minute, your chances of survival goes down 10%, bottom line. If it's 5 minutes to get an ambulance here, you're 50-50. If it's 10 minutes, not so good, 0. So those same metrics apply to stroke, they apply to trauma, they apply to many other medical conditions. If we can catch an asthmatic before they stop breathing, there's just all kinds of reasons why time makes a big difference. In the fire world, it's the same thing. And I'm going to show you a couple real life examples. In the fire world, this picture starts, if we lit a garbage can on fire and let it get free burning, in 4 minutes, the smoke's burning. Smoke is an incomplete product of combustion, which means there are little particles in the air. If you can visibly see it, there's particles in the air, and at some point, those particles catch on fire. So you've heard people say, well, I live in a concrete room, or my garage is concrete. There's no way If you light a fire in a concrete room in that same garbage can, eventually the entire room will be on fire. The smoke itself burns. So obviously, we're not going to get here in 4 minutes and put water on this fire, but through our other measures like smoke detectors and all the other things we do, free home inspections, we want to try to get there before this takes off. And if it does take off, maybe limit it to one room. So that's why getting there in a proper amount of time is important for fire. The other thing I mentioned in my frequently asked questions too, a little bit later, is there's some other reasons fire is important. Fire lowers your insurance rates, and fire having a fire station nearby increases your property values. So those two factors are sort of life safety, but from a safety perspective, that's where we're at. From an EMS perspective, this is the cardiac graph, and it shows if you actually have an incident, and we're here, this is the graph showing and the same thing is true for trauma, for stroke, the other kind of medical conditions. We have a problem here. This is out of a county slide, but we have a problem with geography in that we live on barrier islands, right? So we have the availability of property, the distances that you have to put fire stations apart in order to get the coverage. So the county even acknowledges, and by standards, because a lot of times they want to put a fire station where there's a lot of calls. But out here, sometimes we have to put a fire station where there's not as many calls just to get the coverage. You have to look at two things: call volume and geography. And we acknowledge out here it's really difficult to find a property. These systems were designed before we had computer modeling that would help us design these systems. These systems, we have a lot more data now. Real estate's hard to find and get in the perfect location. But we do have some computer modeling now we'll show you in a minute. So this is actually where we're at today. I actually want to be able to point. So the one on the left is a computer model that shows what the response times are. So our stations are the red dots, as well as, so our 3 stations. And so you can see the yellow, green, yellow, red, it applies. And up here there's no green at all, and of course there's more red. How does that look on real life calls? So again, with the circles on a map, how many people are going to survive in Bel Air Beach who have sudden cardiac death or one of those other conditions? These are the response times for Bel Air Beach, Bel Air Shore, and North Indian Rocks Beach, because there's just not a station there. You can see down here we get a lot better coverage. There are a few, remember when the fire station's busy on another call, you still end up with a few red dots, but you don't end up with 0 green dots is really what we're looking at. So why is that? Well, remember my circles on a map, and if you're in a circle you get 70% credit, and if you're in 2 circles you get 90%. Well, if you march your way up the beach from St. Pete Beach, you see they have circles, and then you see the hole up here. Now, this is all the fire stations in the county, so we're not saying we can't get here. We're saying no one can get here. So as you can see on the map, we've got the Largo Fire Station across the bridge, and we've got the Sand Key Fire Station to the north, and then our fire station. There literally isn't coverage for Bel Air Beach, Bel Air Shore in an adequate amount of time. So the county just added a station in the Reddington beaches because those communities wanted 90% reliability. This is a slide out of a Pinellas County presentation in 2009 showing the adequacy of response times, and you can see that even back then it was an issue. So when I came here, our citizens, or the entire fire district, so that includes Bel Air Beach citizens, unanimously well, not unanimously, but they approved an ad valorem tax. They actually approved to tax themselves. And one of the mandates of that was, we want to have adequate coverage. So we have, some very vocal citizens in North Indian Rocks Beach that are like, this is not acceptable. I'm willing. You're still less expensive than if you were another fire department, but we're willing to pay a little bit more if you can fix our problem with not having fire stations. So this is what, real coverage would look like. So, and I've committed to fix this, and my commissioners have committed to fix this, my staff is committed to fix this. We will cover you moving forward as quickly as we can do it. And so we've purchased property at the Church of the Isles Church, and we've started the planning process, and we're going to build a station. And so we will have a station up here this way that will give you some coverage. If you look at the map on the left, you'll see I added a station up here at Bel Air Beach. So this is today, right? And this is with a station here. You see the dramatic change in red dots, right? And that's what we're really, that's what we're looking for. So, unfortunately, like the mayor said, we're not going to be able to get a paramedic coverage, ALS coverage, until we actually have a station up here. And so far the county says they won't actually give us a station until we fully build a station. Or we can convince them that, hey, our citizens are in it, we're providing temporary housing, we want a paramedic sooner. That's really where we're going with trying to get the EMS covered. Because like I'm saying, this year, I've committed by the end of the year, we're going to fix the fire problem. But this is still going to be the medical problems where the red dots still exist until we can get that paramedic coverage from the county. We've gotten all the cities together, the mayors, city managers, and commissioners, some commissioners from every city, including Indian Shores, who says, we want to fix this for Bel Air Shores or Bel Air Beach. And they're willing to write a resolution to support this getting fixed up here in the north, which is, I think, speaks volumes. They also understand my circle map, that everything affects each other. Because if we have a station here, we still need a station to back that station up, and a station to back that station up in order to get reliable coverage. So we want to fix the fire and EMS problems as soon as we can. There's some questions. I wanted to show this map. This is the computer model. So you can see there's just no red anymore in the computer modeling. And this is at the temporary, what we're going to talk about, temporary housing at Bel Air Beach. This is at Bel Air, or Indian, this is our site that we purchased at North Indian Rocks Beach at the Church of the Isles. You do see the green coverage, extends more north to the edge of our district. The red line is our district. Obviously we have a little bit better coverage even from this temporary location than we would at the Indian Rock Beach location. So, I wanted to take a minute to talk about some known questions that we'll probably get. Is like, how much noise is there? The fire trucks are noisy. Their headlights shine into my windows, or the sirens are going to blare. This is our station that we're actually tearing down November 6th. And building a new station, which has actually a much bigger footprint. But you can see the proximity of these houses. So out the doors in the back there goes directly into this gentleman's house. And then this is on the other side of the property. You can see our proximity to these houses. And I'm amazed. Those property owners, the one in the blue house that you're looking at, showed up at the county meeting. We had to get zoning approval to build this bigger station there. And they showed up to support it. So that's how supportive our neighbors are that are actually directly adjacent to the property. I was amazed that I watched our fire truck leave one day, and it was like, they're going out on a call. But we don't blow the siren when it's not needed, and we don't fire trucks are pretty quiet nowadays. So I was amazed. They caught a call, and they pulled out, and they took off, and you would have never known they had a call. They never hit the siren. Their lights are on, but we're good neighbors, and we only use the sirens and only when necessary. So some of the question was about the sirens here. Literally, if you have, because now you'd have to have the truck from 44 across the bridge, he's going to blow the siren as soon as he gets on this side of the bridge because there's all these entrances. If we were based here, we'd pull out, both lanes of traffic would see us without blowing the siren. We'd pull out. The first time we'd hit the siren is at the intersection. So it's just my commitment that, and we'll commit to policy and everything else that we won't be creating a lot of siren noise. In fact, we'll be reducing it. So there's a lot of misunderstandings about what would happen if a fire station would come here. So I'd like to address some of these, but here's what we're talking about, the red square. And by the way, as soon as I'm done, we'll take some questions, but I have the fire truck sitting out there right now if you wanted to see what it would look like. But it's really, the footprint is really small and not noticeable from anywhere except inside the parking lot. We'd come into the parking lot the normal way, we'd park there by the house, we'd go out the same way we came in. No traffic light or no flashing lights or anything like that. I put up just to remind me some of the questions that I would think, so why do we need this? I hope I addressed that. If I was here, my family was here, I would want to have a paramedic show up in a reasonable amount of time. If you're across the bridge, you get a paramedic in a reasonable amount of time. I would wonder why I don't have a paramedic in a reasonable amount of time here. So I hope we've made the case of sort of why. We're not asking for any funding from the city. We'll cover the costs of any things that it would take to make that able to be housed firemen temporarily, like showers, stuff that the house would normally not have. So we'll provide fire and EMS services with either a fire truck or a rescue vehicle. Like we could do a smaller footprint vehicle if we needed to, but that would only cover the medical problem. And the thing we have to think about is, so I talked about how it costs. So some of the other benefits that aren't life safety are, there's an organization called ISO, which is Insurance Service Organization, and they set your insurance rates. And if you don't have a fire station close by, your insurance rates are more. And for us to actually count it as a fire station, they say we have to have a cover over the fire truck and 3 walls. So we don't have to have a door. But it's funny, but your insurance rates actually go, so there are some cost saving advantages to having a fire station nearby. If you do a simple study, I actually had ChatGPT research engine do a study on property values next to a fire station, and it came back and said property value, and cited all the articles, but property values go up when a fire station is close proximity. The only one where it may go down, and it said 1%, is directly next to the fire station. And that was sort of soft how it approached that. And in this case, we're not going to have anybody directly next to what would be considered, I would consider the fire station where the fire truck is. The occupation of the house is going to be sort of normal occupation. So what else? How many firefighters? Thought might get asked. Minimum of 2, maximum of 4. Most days we have 3 on a fire truck, and we have 2 on a rescue if we have a rescue. So is it noisy? I think we talked about that, but we can talk about it a little bit more if you want to vet that out more, how it will affect your insurance, and so what's the other benefit? I think the 3 benefits, but the really one is life safety. Our most important thing is protecting our lives. And nowadays, with technology in medicine things that when even I was a young paramedic, when somebody was having a stroke, you didn't do anything for them, right? Nowadays, there's things you can do that every minute makes a difference. And you can take somebody who would be totally paralyzed, get them to the right treatment, and treat them right on the scene. Get them to the right treatment facility, and have them walk out of there with no deficit. Or someone in cardiac arrest, someone whose heart stops. The county can have up to a 30% save rate or return of circulation if everything's done right. But the first chain of that, well, the second piece of the chain, first chain would be to teach everybody to do CPR. We'd like to do that too. But the second piece in that chain is to get a quick response from advanced life support. So the number one reason is life safety. Number two, there are some cost savings, cost advantages, but I think those are sort of soft things. But I do think there are some bad experiences some people who may have had. I've talked to some folks in the audience living next to a fire station or having, and that's just not going to be the case here. So I wanted to show you that we're going to be good neighbors. We're not going to make a lot of noise. We're going to be there. My mantra for my people is we get called at the worst moment of people's lives. And we're not just like a visitor or an observer to that worst moment. We're a participant in it. And we're going to show up, and we're going to be ready, and we're going to do what we can, to the best of our ability. And so part of that is showing up in time. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this. So we're proud to serve you. We're grateful to be your fire department. And I'll open it up for any questions or comments. Yes.
Hi, so I want to say I'm running in the fire service for 30 years, so I respect what you guys do, I appreciate what you guys do. A couple questions.
Could you use the speaker so we can
I'll just talk really loud.
I can repeat it too.
I'll talk like I'm talking to my dad. So, a couple questions. What is the purpose of doing this now versus, we've been without, why not wait for that to be built? And then, obviously you have the service over here. And then second, you guys are tearing that other one down. Does that factor into why you're asking for this? Because right now you have 3 stations, correct?
Correct.
You're tearing one down and rebuilding one, right?
Yes.
And you need 4.
Need 4.
Right. So why would you do this now? Why would you tear one down at the same time that you're trying to build another one?
Yeah, great questions. So, first of all, everybody needs service. I hope I'm trying to fix the service problem up here. We're tearing a station down in Oakhurst. We're not going to leave them without service. We moved all those people and trucks into a temporary station. Like, it's still there, operating. We're not abandoning that area. Well, that would almost be counterintuitive if I could.
So you're not like moving those people over?
No, they're literally, you could throw a baseball. Well, somebody stronger than me could throw a baseball from the old station to where they're temporarily housing over there. So those issues are unrelated. Why now? Because last year in Bel Air Beach, there were 3 cardiac arrests, and all of them had a 0% chance of surviving. That's why now. Like, why not wait? Like, when I came here 6 months ago, it hurt me to think of the fact that I didn't want to wait another 2 years, and I didn't want to wait another year. I want to fix it now because it's going to cost. I always hate to be dramatic. I'm not trying to be. I'm literally, this is literal. It will cost lives to wait. Us not getting there in time is costing lives.
Do you guys do any free CPR training?
Yeah, absolutely.
My 27-year-old brother actually had cardiac arrest, and he was, 8 minutes of CPR before he was taken. Well, they couldn't even take him to flatline. They had to zap him 3 times. But, I think that's the real thing, is that people need to be educated on that.
We are. It's funny you say that, but we're in the midst of a lot of things. We're just getting American Red Cross does the CPR. We're getting certified as a center so that we can actually more robustly offer CPR training.
And how long is the building going to take? down at Jersey House?
Maybe 3 years, I want to say.
So this would be a 3-year thing? 3-year
Yes.
thing. And what's your current ISO?
2.
2? And would having this station bring you to a 1?
It's a complicated, I can't guarantee that. I know not having the station probably keeps us from it, but there's other, it's just a complicated formula. It's like your credit score. Like you can never actually figure out what thing affects your credit score. That's the way the ISO is. So we will try to check as many boxes as we can, but we would be hopeful.
Where could we find out more information on the structure of your organization? Is it a corporation, or is it, you said it was a non-governmental agency?
You can find a ton of information on our website, which is, if you look up, Penelope. Oh, okay. I'll bring it to you. If you actually, after the meeting, I'll get your address. I'll send it to you. We are a governmental entity. We are a state-established district, and so we are not-for-profit. We're like a municipality, except established by the state. And so we have a board, just like cities do, a board of commissioners. We have the same sort of strict procurement policies and those other things.
Do you know if this is the only meeting that Bel Air Beach is having regarding this matter, or has the population here been given a timeline as to when all this is supposed to happen? And
as I said before, there have been no decisions whatsoever. Right now,
Speak up, please.
just a conversation. That's all it is. And so we're having this meeting to inform the community.
is this the first of several meetings?
This is the only one we're having because it's been publicly noticed for a month. It's been brought
The
up.
only notice I got was on my door.
Yeah, I haven't noticed. I got noticed during the hurricane when we were making recommendations.
You're here.
Huh?
You're here.
I'm here because I heard word of it. But by, yes. So, but I didn't get the notice.
It's also been on the sign for
that
quite
we
a
had
while.
to be
I'm displaced. I don't live here. I don't have my trust.
I believe that with any kind of public meeting, the citizens are to be notified a number of times over.
And different ways, yes. Not in the told 2
Okay.
days before.
Today's meeting is to get your opinion on this idea. Okay?
Yes.
That's what it's about. Eventually, it will come in front of the council, and everybody has the opportunity to reach their council members and discuss this. This whole purpose of having this meeting is for you. I'm glad you're here. And I hope that you take this information and go speak with your neighbors about it, and then contact me or any of the other council members or the city manager and have that conversation because we do listen and we just don't arbitrarily make decisions without having input from the public. So
I don't see anybody taking notes. Is this being recorded? Or are these notes going to be presented to the board? I mean, I don't know how we're going to capture.
We have a council member here, we have a council member here, and I'm the mayor. So we've got.
Okay, well, that's just going in your ear. That's not being recorded.
I've been to all of these meetings, so I'm very well.
I'm talking about what the people are talking about,
Okay.
not what you're talking about.
Okay, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do this. I'd like each one of you that would like to speak to come up like we do in a council meeting. Introduce yourself, tell us where you live, and then you'll have the floor. Otherwise, this meeting will get out of control, all right? So who would like to speak? Yes, ma'am. Please come right on up, introduce yourself, and let's hear your comment.
I have questions, not comments. Okay, I'm Lauren Lane. I used to live at 941 Cedar Drive. My house has been demolished. Construction is in the work to build up. My question is for you, because I'm going to be your very next door neighbor, is will the existing structure change at 1001
No.
Cedar Drive? It's going to look the same from outside? No
Correct.
changes? Okay, the other thing is, what types of vehicles will be housed on Cedar Drive or the city lot? You've got employees working there. Are they going to be housed on Cedar Drive, or I should talk to the
Sorry,
microphone,
good.
or here at City Hall?
Yeah, good question. So I would anticipate our people parking in the lot, so in the parking lot for the city hall here, the community center. So the fire truck is out there, everybody can look at it on their way out, and then there'd be 3 cars. There's 6 at, say there were 3 people, so 6 at shift change, and then there'd be left with 3 cars.
Okay. A bunch of us on Cedar Drive, my neighbors and I met last week to kind of throw things out that we could ask you at this meeting. One concern, which is a major concern, is you have firemen sleeping off and on, during the night when they're not called in. What kind of siren or sound system is used to wake people? Because one of the girls looked it up and it was like really loud.
Yeah. It's a great question. So it's fine. I'm going to use this as an opportunity so mental health is a huge thing for fire departments now.
Right.
And when I grew up, there was something called a Claxton. It was this bell, and it would go, you'd see the show emergency. But it's not like that anymore. That's why this is a great forum. Now, we actually we're moving to tactile. So the firemen will wear little vibrators on their wrists, and their beds shake when they get a call. And the tones that go off in the station are very soft and mellow and like almost calming, like they're at a retreat somewhere. And lights in the ceiling tell them that so there's all kinds of things. There's not a big noise when calls come in. You won't hear a call come in.
Okay, you already answered my next question. Okay, could this plan involve into building a more expensive firehouse or house engines on Cedar Drive?
No.
Okay. Will a traffic light be added to the community center here?
No.
Okay, that was a big concern. How will the plan change affect events like weddings or social events here at the center?
Yeah.
I mean, when they have weddings, it's packed. This parking lot is packed, and even some of this down here is packed.
We would just have to work that out. Like if we
Okay.
needed to move, for our wedding, we would. We're a good neighbor. We'll accommodate it.
Part of my concern is when we've had like meetings here when there's a lot of people and the parking lot gets filled, where do they park on Cedar Drive? And right now, the city of Belleair Beach, you're not allowed to park on the street. A construction vehicle doing work on the house might, but the regular cars can't. Okay. Someone else in the group had a question. What's the average number of calls per month for EMS or fire department?
Yeah, so this station would be what we would consider relatively slow. Again, it's not about the call volume up here, it's about the time.
The time.
So we would expect there would be a call every other day. So,
Okay.
run that over a 24-hour period, and it's pretty infrequent. Now we work as a county system, so I usually say about a call a day. So we get pulled over the bridge, or we'll get pulled up into Clearwater Beach, but not a busy call volume. They're not running in and out here all day.
Okay. The only other question I had was, you mentioned it's just the fire department, so the emergency vehicles will still come over the bridge?
Well,
Because I know when my husband had a heart attack,
Yeah,
he
so-
did pass away at home. The fire department got there first, and then the EMS
Right.
truck came,
yeah,
and the
so,
fire guys did the work anyways.
right. In this county, we have a 2-tier system. So the fire, it's set up so we can get there fast. That's why we need the station. And then the ambulance comes, and it takes a little bit longer. So the ambulance will still come.
Yeah.
They'll still
It'll come from a different site, it won't be housed here?
There won't be an ambulance house here.
Okay.
They actually don't even have stations, the ambulances. They move around. Like they're at Wawa, they're at CVS.
Yeah.
And there's predictive modeling AI that's been around for 20 years that actually tells them you're likely to get a call here. And so they'll move them over to that Wawa. And it's incredibly accurate.
That's all my questions for now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you
Awesome.
so
Thank
much. Just so you know, this meeting is actually being recorded. I did not notice the recorder was running, but I think, Kyle, is that us? Okay, so we'll get this meeting online so everyone can hear, all right?
Is it just recording that microphone?
It's recording the entire room, so, all right, who else? Yes, please come right on up.
I'm Debbie Ma. I live across the street on Causeway. I have a number of questions for you.
Okay, good.
I'm sure. So the property that, the Church of the Isles property, have you closed on that property?
Yes, we own
You
it.
have?
You can look it up on
And
the
you got
tax.
the funding? I don't know. I looked on your website. I couldn't find anything.
If you look on the tax assessor's website and you look at the Church of the Isles property, you can click on it and it will show owned by Pinellas Stone.
Oh, great.
It's part of the parking lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is part of the parking lot. So, and that'll take about 3 years to build
think.
out, you think?
Yeah.
So my concern, I don't really care so much about the noise and things because it's not going to affect me personally or our house because they go by anyway, regardless of where they're coming from. But I am concerned about the people on cedar, spruce, palm, because they are going to have a significant impact. And I actually looked up studies as well and called my insurance agent. And what I found out was that you are right about it increasing your property value, but you have to, at that point, have a fire station that's more than 25 miles away from your home for it to increase your property value. If you live within a half a mile of it, it actually decreases it, according to Realtor.com and Business Insider. So those are two studies that were done in 2021, and the other one, I have my glasses, I think was 2019. And also, I don't think, according to my insurance agent, it will not affect our insurance rates at all. So you might want to take those two out of the equation because I don't think they're valid points. How many parking spaces are we going to lose here? Because we do get a significant, about 150,000, I think, a year. Kyle, if I'm correct, from parking. It doesn't all come from this location. We also have Morgan Park. But, so we're going to lose some income there. You mentioned that in order to be considered a fire station and to get EMS help, because I think that's what everybody's concerned about, is really the EMS. The fires nowadays we don't have that many because of the building codes and sprinklers and all that kind of things. We do have them. We had one about 7 years ago, 2 doors down from me, but it was the stove, grease fire on the stove. Do you have EMS people at the other stations?
Yes.
You said they're all around.
Yes,
So
every station has
every state, but for us to get one, we have to then put a structure over the fire engine, if I'm understanding correctly?
No, that was a comment about the ISO rating.
Yes.
So the insurance organization, to count it as a fire station, it has to have 3 sides. EMS,
They'll just be all over.
our plan is if we're here
Yeah.
and have a presence here,
Uh-huh.
that they need a vehicle to ride on. So
Sure.
if we give them the fire truck,
Right.
they'll do the rest.
Yeah.
Is our
But we'll have to house those people, right? Until the new fire station's built.
Correct, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Housing them
no,
at
I
the-
mean, we'll
yeah.
have I listened to your presentation to the work session.
Okay.
And you stated there would be 4 people there. So if we have 2 EMS people, where are those people going to stay?
Part of the maximum number of people is 4, minimum 2.
Okay.
One of those would be, they're the same. That's how the county does it.
Okay.
One of those, we turn them into a paramedic.
Okay,
So-
got it. Okay, so there would not be more than
No.
4 at any one time. Let's see, what arrangements would be made should this go past 3 years to build in Indian Rocks Beach? You'll stay here, I'm assuming?
It's up to you guys.
I don't know, I'm just asking, because, I think anybody who's been rebuilding can tell you it's a slow process,
Yeah.
a very slow process. Another concern that I would have for the neighbors is the lighting, because that's kind of the dark corner back there where the fire engine will be. So I'm assuming that you're going to have to put some kind of lighting. You're going to have to put stairs from the parking lot down into the lot, and that's going to have to be lit. You can't have people running around in the dark. They'll get hurt. So those lights are gonna affect the neighbors. There's no two ways about it. They changed the light bulbs on Causeway, and now we gotta tint our windows. I'm just telling you, the lights are a big thing. So I think you need to be very, very concerned about that. Because those people, I mean, not those people, our neighbors, all of our neighbors, they really got hit hard by the storm. They don't need more stress in their lives, honestly. Where are we going, Kyle? Where will we put the heavy equipment that's currently stored there at 1001 Cedar? We got a lot of stuff back there.
Yeah, we could keep our tractor in the yard.
We can keep all our things back there. We won't have
We've
to.
been using this lot for the trucks.
Yeah, but not that we won't have to rent another place or build another place, or there's enough that we can have all that there. Okay, let's see, I think that was it. Now, I'm assuming that when we have events here, you are going to have to somehow cordon off an area and not allow parking there, because should there be a call during a wedding, a birthday party, or whatever, you're going to have to get that truck out of here. So I think that's something we need to look at and see how, tactically that can happen. Let's see, I think that's, let's see. Have you looked at any other property at all?
We have. I mean,
Where?
we're always looking. So there's other lots. This not only was it in the perfect location as far as but also it was the perfect scenario that you actually had a usable house.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're, imagine if we went to a residentially zoned house, like there was just no way. And then even at the property, there's a huge lot on golf. Like every minute of the day, our staff, when we're driving around, we're looking for something.
Have you looked at under the bridge, the marina down there? You could put 2 trailers down there to house people for 2 years or 3 years, and really wouldn't have any impact on anybody.
If we were going to put trailers, we'd put them out on our lot, like at the Church of the Isles.
Uh-huh.
This is, trailers cost money.
Sure.
It's a lot of
I assume we're charging you rent.
Yeah, I don't know. We haven't worked that out yet.
We are.
But we checked into modular buildings, and they're, you're still talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. So to set up a temporary fire station where you bring in your own housing is just, it's
Cost prohibitive.
it's just not good for the citizens who are paying the money. It's not us.
Yeah, right.
And so this scenario that has a house that can be occupied, it just seems like, and there's another scenario at the Church of the Isles where there's a house for sale, and we're contemplating whether we should buy that house. So we are keeping an open mind. This seemed like the perfect location to provide service to Bel Air Beach and Bel Air Shore, and it was just the perfect scenario that had a structure. Looking at it, it didn't appear to have a big impact on the area, and all those things are operationally we can work out. If there's a big event and we need to move to our main station and base out of there for 8 hours, we can work. There are operational things that we can solve for, and so for us, it just seemed like. And I put in my previous life 100 of these. So in this scenario, this is just the perfect scenario for the citizens and for the department. So
You understand this is a 100% residential area, though. Let's see what else. Oh, so it appears from your map that the biggest response time concern is to the fingers in the north end of town.
there's almost no
What
way.
about putting it out there?
Yeah.
But Sand Key is right there, so I don't know.
Yeah, so the fingers on the north end of our district where the Clearwater line is,
Uh-huh.
the fingers on Indian Rocks Beach, they're difficult. Your location is a way to get the best coverage to both fingers equally. Our location is in the fingers of Indian Rocks
Correct.
Beach, but the fingers in Bel Air Beach, are going to have a worse time
Yeah.
from our permanent location. The fingers are just, at some point, I mean, I try to serve, and I'm advocating for serving everybody equally, but at some point you just can't get there. You can't put a fire
You
station on the end of
can't,
it.
yeah. I think this is my last question. When I listened to the workshop, you said that when there's a call, 2 typically will respond. And so there's a lot of people over the bridge in those condos who are over 50, they're all over 55. You have to be to live there. So I'm wondering, we would be the second closest fire department to respond to those calls. So I wonder how much of your time is going to be spent going over there, and also that you guys do the short-term rental checks and in Indian Rocks Beach and Indian Shores. We have no short-term rentals here, so how much of the time is going to be spent doing that as well, like for in and out all the time?
Yeah, great question. First of all, the firefighters don't do the inspections of short-term rentals, so that truck wouldn't be operating to do that at all. We contemplated operationally the issue of going across the bridge and putting a delay. It's a computer thing to fix, putting a time delay on the bridge. But at the end of the day, if we can get there sooner, we're still going to want to go. So we will go get pulled across the bridge. There's just no denying it. If it's a minute closer or for someone else or us, we can have the system send somebody else. But if it's going to make a difference for life and death, we're going to go.
You gotta go. I agree. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks for your question.
Who's next? Yes.
Hello, Maggie Burning, 940 Spruce Drive, and I actually have Tiffany Franch, I can't say her last name. She is across the way from me. I don't know what your address is. I have her on the phone. She has some questions she wants to ask, but she had sent me a report. Was there a lease that you guys lost on one of your fire departments? No, no lease lost. Okay, I'm gonna let her unmute herself. She's on speaker, so she can ask her questions. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Hi, so I'm Tiffany Fauci. I own 921 Spruce Drive. I've had that house for approximately 22 years. So I have a couple of questions. I was reading over the fire department's public facilities annual notice of change. And in that document, it discusses Station 26 needing to relocate, and that there were efforts underway to relocate, but that a new location has not yet been determined. And it then goes on to talk about Station 27 and 28, and then the addition of that extra fire station that you're looking at, that you've purchased land in Indian Rocks Beach for. So that Indian Rocks Beach being a 4th station, not a replacement for the 26 that it says needs to relocate. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So you're still looking for a location to replace Station 26?
Yes. We are current.
So then why would this not end up being that? In other words, in 3 years, once you've already been here for 3 years, and you know that you have to replace Station 26, when that new station opens in Indian Rocks Beach, what is it that's going to make you say, you know what, we still have to find a location for 26, but we aren't going to stay here?
So,
I mean, in other words, 3 years sounds like one of those timelines where it goes 3 years and then ends up being forever, because you still need another station.
So each station I look at as in its independence. So when I started, though, I will say that the district had an aggressive plan to build 3 stations at once, and we're not doing that. We're doing one at a time. But Station 26 covers Indian Shores and is in a leased facility, just like our leased temporary 28. So we do have leases. We just never lost a lease. That question took me. But we lease our space for Station 26 now in Indian Shores. That station can't go away. We're currently working with the county on property at the Tiki Gardens, or in the same studies were done for that area, but that's a whole different discussion. It doesn't affect your cities and your constituents. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
We're working at putting a new station in 26. You're right, that's in our facilities plan. And we have the main station in the middle, which is by Walshingham. And then this would be the north station along the beach. So 3 along the beach, 1 on the mainland. And we have a facilities plan that has us rebuilding the station on the mainland right now. It's contracted for, funded, and everything. We're breaking ground November 1st or so. And then we're tackling these other. The next one we're going to tackle is the one to the north up here. That's why we bought property. Quite frankly, I just didn't want to wait to save lives. So.
But if you already own that property, why not utilize it now in the same fashion that you would use the City Hall property?
Well,
it really makes the most sense to utilize property that you already own, because according to you, all you're looking to do is park a couple of vehicles and have a place for people to sleep.
Right. So the previous question,
why not do that on the land you own?
Maybe you didn't hear the previous question. It's really about cost. It costs a lot more for us to put in living facilities, and this property has a living facility that we wouldn't need.
This property was destroyed by a hurricane, just like all the rest of our houses.
Okay. So that's
But
that's my
have to
answer.
put money into it.
Right. That's my answer.
And my point is you could bring a trailer in, just like FEMA is is bringing in trailers for people to live in. You could bring something like that in to house people overnight in order to have people on site, and park your trucks at the location where they're going to be permanently anyway.
I
think that if the residents of Bel Air Beach can have to be in campers in their driveway, I'm pretty sure that we could, find a way to have a single wide trailer on your property that you already own, as you've pointed out, and utilize the space that you already have, especially if you aren't going to begin that build immediately.
I think it's a fair.
It's a fair question, and my answer is it's more cost effective for the taxpayer. Is the only reason, and
I do
think
have.
that as the taxpayer, I'd like to say, spend that money, put that trailer down there, and utilize property you already own. That's
all right.
Thank you, taxpayer.
I hear
Thank
you.
Tiffany.
I do have one other thing. I don't want to say where I was because I don't want to get this person in trouble, because I met them in a public place and I didn't know them. We got to talking and I said, oh, my brother's fire department, whatever. And he told me out of his mouth, so you might want to talk to your team specifically, oh, you know where that house is that the city owns in Bel Air Beach? Because he said, where do you live? And, I told him, he said, yeah, we're tearing that down and building a new fire department. He's like, that's going to be our 4th station. So that's the kind of stuff that's going around. Other rumors such as they offered to buy the land they tried to buy the property next to the house to build a big station there. So is that a rumor? Is that true?
There's a truth in every rumor. So
I
literally called the owner. Maybe you may be the owner. I literally called the owner, not thinking about building a station there, but thinking if we were going to take up parking places, maybe we would buy the lot and have the city
But
expand
you just
there.
talked about cost effectiveness.
Right.
You're going to buy a property?
Excuse me, we're not going to have an argument face to face, all right? I'd like everyone to remain civil. We're just having a conversation, all right? The chief's trying to answer your questions, and I will address this. I thought I addressed this at the very beginning of the meeting whenever I said, we are not for sale. We're not selling that house. This is not something that we have no interest in selling that property. We need that property for the city. And then to address the cost of, the chief didn't quite explain it the way that I would. It's basically, yes, that house was damaged in a hurricane and we did receive insurance. So we're planning on putting the house back together anyway. What's not in there is the extra features such as a shower, bedrooms, things like that, which the Pinellas Suncoast has agreed that they would actually install at their cost. So I hope that that answers your questions about that. Now, who's next? Yes, sir. Please come right on up.
Hi, I'm Roger Mall at 115 Causeway, right across the street, and I've got a couple of concerns that right off the bat, directly deal with you. And you just brought one of them up. Is that the first I ever heard about this is that one of the neighbors, who I've never heard misrepresent anything, came and was very concerned because she said the new fire chief has come and is trying to buy property, and he hasn't even gone through the city council or the mayor. And now I'm not sure if he had talked to you yet, Dave, but that concerns me. From an ethical dilemma standpoint, I don't want a guy that sneaks around and tries to make deals on his own. And so I mentioned that to the commissioners, the handsome guy on the far right at your meeting the other night. I mentioned to him and I said, this sounds to me like empire building, because you're just new in the office, and like all new CEOs or school superintendents, they come with a big chart of what they're going to do. And then when they accomplish it, then they ask for more money. And it sounds like you were in the middle of negotiations for a salary anyway at the meeting the other night. So be that as it may, for me, that puts up can we trust this guy? And so you seem like a very reasonable guy, like most CEOs and school superintendents are, but you're on the proving block for me right now, because now there's a bunch of skittish people in our community that said, why would this guy go around our city council? And I know Frank Bankard and I know that Dave they're honorable people and good people, and they deserve to be treated appropriately. And to me, that wasn't treating our city government appropriately. So, but now on the thoughts I have, because I worked in the medical industry my whole life, and I actually think the model that you have is the wrong one, because it is true that people die if they don't get there quickly. And so this young lady, I don't know her well, I've talked to her a couple of times, but she brings up a good point, is I didn't even know you had CPR classes, but if you really want to get down to this, a logical thing, and I think a service that you could provide that would save more lives and have the fastest response time, is if you work through every single condo along here and said, we're going to have a training class, and maybe every other month, I'm sure Dave would probably say this would be a good place to have the classes. But right now, and the Red Cross is dropping the ball. And when in other states I lived in, every month they announce that we're going to be at this school, we're going to be at this civic center, and they have every month, that there's going to be a CPR training class. And so if you can get somebody in the house that's right there, that's the best case scenario. But in the case for the model for even a small fire example, you want the EMRs there. And I don't know how long it's going to take you to get one stationed here, but that would be ideal. It's kind of concerning to me that we'd have 3 people who aren't EMRs or paramedics that training. I would think that the whole reason they have this here is to have the paramedics so they can deal with those. So, but this is, to me, it's like the worst place you could possibly have it, because right now the only reason why the fire trucks can't get over here quicker is unless you're here maybe this month in May when there's not seasonal traffic. But during the summer and during the high season here, this is the slowest boulevard in the entire valley. And so what you would really want, it would seem like it would be much faster for the response time coming from Sand Key, however it's down on the far end. But I would think it would be way more cost effective to just hire an AMR, because they do have to come further than you do because they're over, but just hire one and say, okay, most people are having their heart attacks at 4 to 6 in the morning because their beta blocker wears off, and they get up and all of a sudden they're dropping. So hire an AMR, have it sitting in the parking lot for 4 hours, and at both stations it probably cut the death rate in half. That would be the fastest response. Or even if they're full-time, it would be way less expensive to hire full-time AMR than to have a fire station, because they're expensive, especially from a personnel standpoint, because then you're paying benefits and you're paying retirement and all sorts of other things. But and I actually think the idea of having paramedics in the beach access is just having a guy full-time there would be way better than the station, because then they can deal with people who are having problems in the ocean, drowning and whatever it is. There's all sorts of reasons why they could be useful, in that manner. But that's not even something that we're even looking at. So, but that, I don't know if you have any comment towards that, but I would think it'd be way more cost effective and efficient to have more CPR classes than it would be to start building a bunch of stations. And so, those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
So I'm Dawn Gordon. I am at 921 Cedar Drive, so I am part of the 1% that will financially be affected by this. We've been there for probably 30 plus years, and then before that lived in Jim Rocks Beach, so we went over there for the safety of the location, came off the water. That's why we were there. That being said, I flooded 4 times in the last 2 years. I know all about the hurricane. I've experienced a lot of financial hardship and just took it on the chin and kept going. I am a proud recipient, and I am advanced in the FEMA grant, I should say. I applied, I'm one of 3, I've been told. I didn't know this until a couple of days ago, so I'm very excited that it actually worked for me, but it comes with a cost, and I have to make a decision by tomorrow to advance. I have to write a check and know that the money I'm going to be putting out is not going to depreciate by the fire department. There are 7 residential homes on our block. 4 of us are part of the tear down and elevating. Different expenses obviously come with that, but we all were hoping that even though insurance didn't cover or did or what have you, we have decided collectively that we want to invest in the community and we want to elevate, which helps all the community as well as more hurricanes and such come through. We elevate and it's less financial burden on the town and where the FEMA funds come from. And I can tell you from experience, I know a lot about grants and where the funding comes from. I'm a Jersey Shore person that was affected as well, so I've been through this many a times. And I mostly kept quiet until this day when I was contacted by my lovely neighbors. I'm just hoping that you would take into consideration financially how the community has been affected, particularly our block. I know it's only 7 of hundreds in Belleair Beach, but we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to hopefully have our property values come back, and we want to, I'm sure there's many out here trying to decide whether to elevate or not, and we want to, improve the area, but we don't want to take another loss. We have lost a lot, and I'm sorry, this is going to depreciate it further for us. I come from a commercial real estate background. I know about acquisitions and dispositions, and I can tell you every penny where it's going. I know all about those numbers. But I'm here hoping collectively as a group, and I'm thrilled that the rest of it has come out just for us. Because emotionally, I think it's a lot for all of us. And I hope you consider our feelings when it comes to this. Because we just can't take much more at this point. And it does affect us financially. We all know it. And it will depreciate because I will be next door. I was very upset to learn that, again, offering and trying to get the lot next door, well, then that puts the parking next to me. I don't think you all want a parking lot next to your homes. I don't care how you want to spin that. So that's my take on this, but I do support the system. I understand. I do completely. This is strictly what we've been through emotionally and financially, and it's everybody in the community within the half-a-mile radius, as Tiff has mentioned. So that's all I have to say at this point. Thank you for listening.
All right. Any other comments? And if you've spoken once, please don't speak again. But come on. I know. Come on. I'm just reminding everyone we're getting kind of late on the meeting. Go right ahead.
I'm Debbie Zander. I live at 102 9th Street. Just 2 days ago, I am starting to go back into my home. I've been in Airbnbs, couch surfing, dealing with FEMA, putting my own money out. I haven't been in the community as long. It's only been since 2021. And it's been a hard year. And for my community, I'm within that half mile. I understand about safety. I have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars of our retirement in my property value as of now. I chose, and we had limitations. FEMA told us how much we could rebuild and repair my house for, which was not much, and not much insurance money for the $10,000 a year that I pay with a $10,000 deductible on my land. Apparently is worth so much more than my home. I've been limited and had to choose different things to not finish my home, because otherwise I would be a tear down if I exceed that. I struggled with housing. They offered me a trailer. I did not. And that's what was offered to me for temporary, unknown how long this process would go. I don't understand why our little community of no businesses. Do we have any businesses?
Very.
Okay. We protected the community. We protected our streets. We sacrificed for that. We sacrificed not being able to have friends come over and park at anything more than what can fit in my driveway. To have a community that is unique to the other communities, correct? So this is just more of a statement that I understand your costs, sir. There's been a lot of costs for the people in this community, particularly in this half-mile radius of this exact spot. Did it get hit the hardest within this half-mile in Bel Air Beach? Yeah. Yes. This is the lowest area. So we're low right now. I want to be protected. It doesn't sound like we are gaining, gaining a paramedic on site with ACLS and able to provide all of the things that a ambulance would? That's your plan, but we're not exactly sure.
Yeah,
so is this like
Excuse me, let me answer that question. Basically, currently, the county has not allocated that person for us. They generally don't provide that unless you have a place for that person to live. And so that is the plan, is that if the community decides to move forward, then immediately we will go to the county and start requesting for that extra personnel.
Okay. Some other questions about that residential house that the township owns and uses to store equipment. What rules apply to that structure versus all of our homes in the cost to repair or limitations to the repair under FEMA? What does that property, is it permitted or allowed to do? I don't know that I'm phrasing this right, but
I understand what you're asking. Is it,
Like,
is
it
it
seems
under
like
the
it-
same regulations that the regular homes are?
Right.
Kyle?
Yeah, so. Yes, we passed the substantial damage estimator tool for that structure. So it didn't need a detailed evaluation, but it did go into the same.
Okay, so
review.
how much is allowed to be done to it in order, before you're maxed out?
I don't have that number, but I can find out the
Like,
project.
is
We
it
go by the
feasible?
project
Because, like,
appraiser.
I could just tell you how hard it was to get what we got, and it's taken me a year to get there. Like, how is that gonna meet, code and standards for you guys in this temporary phase that of 3 years? It took me a year to get into my own home. Like, what day is today? The 25th. So is it the 26th tomorrow?
Yeah.
The anniversary of the devastation. I'm a nurse. I was at Baycare. I get subject matter expert, the knowledge and the information that you have. I also get when industry or healthcare, in order to receive our certain certifications and our standards and extra money and services, we have to meet criteria for my hospital, like to get a certification or reimbursement from Medicare. We needed to do certain steps in that process to meet government and insurance stuff. So I know, like, I kind of get a sense that somebody's telling you, you have to do this and then we can give you this. I've been through that. It's a long process. It's really hard. They don't always tell you how. They just tell you to make it happen. We can't give you this for that until that's done. Sorry, I'm correlating it to something that all of you can't. So it's just, there's a lot of unknown. We have been through a lot, and it just feels like there was communication through Bel Air Beach and through you alerting us during an email system during Hurricane Helene and Milton, for which I was following diligently. But I feel like if I didn't, I've been so underwater with insurance and mortgage and everything else. If I wasn't notified by my neighbors in the community, this week I'm just getting into my home, and the sirens are loud already. I'm near Gulf Boulevard, and my property values have already plummeted, and I'm scared.
Thank you very much. All right, any other comments? Yes, sir, please come right on up. And I think that this will be the last one because we're running kind of long on this meeting, but I can assure you at the council meeting, we will continue this discussion. All right, because there's 3 council members here and we're not allowed to discuss with each other. We'll have to do it in the next public meeting. Please, sir, come right on.
Chief Grimes, thank you for everything that you and your team do to help protect this community. A couple concerns that I'm hearing. My name is Derek Golden. I'm a personal representative of 1000 Cedar Drive.
Closer to the microphone, please.
Sure. And I'd like to address some of the concerns that I'm hearing from our other neighbors. I did have the opportunity to sit in on a meeting with the neighbors prior to this meeting and get a better understanding of the collective concerns. A couple things that we started to discuss but hadn't quite finalized commenting on are the rumors or the comments that were made about the property at 1001 Cedar Drive that the city owns, and an inquiry made by a realtor representing the fire department to acquire the adjacent property at 941 Cedar Drive. Can we take a moment and give us a better understanding of what the intentions are? Is it to expand the footprint, and at what capacity? And to further that, there was also mention of an employee of the fire department who noted that it was their intention to build a new station on Cedar Drive.
I can answer both. First of all, my heart goes out to all of you. Often, in our situation, I have a good idea, and I think it's a great idea, and then we listen to you, and we find out it's not such a good idea. And when I obviously hear the stress and the, just the stress and pain this issue has caused you, when, for me, it was just a good idea I was trying to run to ground. And I apologize for that. And my personality is creative to a fault. So when I did ask about buying the property behind, I had never had an intention. To be honest, again, my fault, as I get over my skis, I call it, to where I get too far ahead. And so when I spoke to the owner of the property afterwards and sort of withdrew our intent, once I realized the ripple effect that it had caused. But I was just trying to understand, sort of problem solve if the city needed that property, and is it even in the realm of us purchasing it? Maybe the city would purchase it. Those were the kind of questions I was asking myself, and maybe I didn't go about it the right way. And I know I mentioned it to the city, but it wasn't brought up in a public forum or anything like it. It was all my fault, totally my fault, for just sort of getting ahead of myself when I'm thinking, I think it's better if there's a fire station up here. I can't imagine the people up here not wanting a fire station close. And so, from my lens, I was just trying to solve for that. And the fact that it caused this much, pain and suffering, we are your, like I said in my presentation, we're your fire department. Like, we are your advocates. Like, I don't want to ever cause you. If you want CPR, I want to teach you CPR. If you want, we are your partners in creating the quality of life for the community. We are a part of your community. I don't want it to seem like, these guys are going, whatever the feeling is. I want you to feel like we're hand in hand. And I'm glad that everybody spoke up, and quite frankly, I don't mean to get too far over my skis again, but it sounds like there's no way that I would advocate. Like, I would expect my commission, me to advocate to my commission that we just withdraw this idea totally. Because it sounds like I wouldn't want to cause one person the amount of pain that it seems like it's causing you guys. So, anyway, that addresses the issue, I hope, on Cedar. It was literally me just trying to problem solve for, okay, this house seems like a great situation. We can move in there sooner, because I was really trying to get in by October 1st. Because I felt like every day we waited hurt you. And I didn't understand, the opposite effect that, it had. So, and then the firemen, what you hear at a bar, you just can't put a lot of credibility in. We never had an intent to tear down a house and build a fire station, or build one on Cedar Drive, or put our trucks on Cedar Drive. That was never the intent, so I'm happy to clear that up. But again, I feel like I almost don't want to try to argue the points here, like the response time points. All the reasons that I see, they're through my lens, right? So, I would just say, and sort of in closing, from a fire perspective, and my commissioners are here, we hear you, we heard you, and I'm glad, these are just the first discussions, and I'm glad you got your points out. And again, I want to be locked arm in arm with you. I want you, if you need help at your house, you call us. Like, literally, our fire department, is part of the community family. So I don't want this to, create any friction there. So, with that said, I think I'll close, and again with sort of an apology, and for getting all these negative concerns riled up. We will. We're committed. We have the funding. We can go to our other site. I thought this was the best. It's all on me. I personally thought this was the best. I was wrong. And my commission is committed to fixing there is a response time issue. You're right about the chain of survival. CPR is first, but you have to have an EMT show up, and you have to have a paramedic show up, and then you have to have transport. It's all in a chain. And so you can't have one without the other. So we're going to try to fix all those, including putting a station up here. And it's okay if it's not here. I just don't want you to stress about it. Okay?
Sure, can I just make one more comment in closing?
Go right ahead.
I think that we can all appreciate the information that you provided in your presentation, and if it was myself or a loved one or a neighbor that I truly cared about, we would want reasonable response time for the preservation of life. One of the things that was discussed are different options for housing the necessary emergency equipment and personnel. Is there an opportunity where there could be different options presented to the community if it is going to be in our community that would review the budget for whatever option that may be? So for example, on 1001 Cedar Drive, the property is currently not habitable from what I understand, and it would have an expense to renovate that property in order to accommodate the specific needs of emergency services versus what is the cost of temporary housing for a location on the marina underneath the bridge, and allowing the community to have some input on the different budgets and where that money may be spent. I understand that Chief Grimes, you've put a lot of effort into this. I'm sure that you have your top few options. This was a big one for a lot of different reasons. I know it checks off a lot of the boxes. Is there an opportunity to present some of the other options and the budget that would go along with that until a permanent station is acquired and built? Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, and this is why we have these meetings. This is why I called it. And I hope everyone is satisfied with Chief Grimes' response. Chief, do you have any other comments you'd like to make? No? All right, well, if there is nothing else, then I would say that this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for being here, and good night.